Hold up. There we go. Sorry about that. Had to unmute the mic. All right. So there are some things to talk about tonight. There's a lot of people who may look at this one as a scheduled loss. I personally do not see this one as a scheduled loss. Totally winnable game. This one is a totally winnable game. We're going to talk about all that here in a minute and everything like that. Excuse me. Puck Drop NC, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. Matthew, good to see you too, pal. Give me 1 second, guys. This camera is not cooperating with me. Or the camera stand, I should say. Come on. Get back up there. There we go. Got it. Oh, I actually kind of like it being up this high. It shows off all my stuff a little bit better. You know what? I think I'm going to leave it like this. I like it. Oh, blessing in disguise. Anyway, so that's perfect. I like that angle way more. You can see both my F-16 posters. You can see part of that F-18 poster, my Top Gun poster, my Kane stuff, my Fire Ant stuff. This. You know what? It's staying like this. I like this. Yeah, we're gonna keep it like this. Anyway, well, maybe a little bit lower so that way I'm not totally looking away from the camera. That one works. I like that. There we go. Perfect. Eventually, I'm going to get LED, red and black LED lights ran around the entire top of the roof here, so the background will look really good. Anyway, so on to this game here tonight. All right, quick turnaround here. This is the last Carolina Hurricanes game of 2025. Let's end it on a good note, shall we? The overall record for the Hurricanes has now improved to 24-11-3 with their win last night. Injuries considered, the season is going absolutely excellent, minus the Florida collapse. That's a isolated bad incident, if you ask me. Either way, this is going really, really well. Overall record for the Pittsburgh Penguins, they are 16-12-9, but they are still in the hunt for a wild card spot. They have at least one game in hand on everyone they're chasing for wild card 2, and they have 41 points. They did not play last night. They're going to be rested. They were waiting on Carolina in their own building. It's going to be a tough out tonight, but I think Carolina can get it done. I'll get into the reasons as to why. The Hurricanes have an 11-5-2 away record, pretty solid. The Penguins are 7-6-5 at home. In the last 10 games, Carolina has now improved to 7-2-1, which is excellent. And in the last 10 games, the Pittsburgh Penguins are 2-5-3. Do not let that fool you. These guys are going to scrap for every point they can get when they're still sitting this close to wild card 2, and they have circumstances where if they won tonight or at least got a point tonight, then they're even with everybody else. And that, like I said, they have at least a game in hand on everybody they're chasing for wild card 2 right now. This is the first of 4 meetings. In the event that later on in the season, you could potentially see the season series here be a deciding factor for the Penguins. And, if bad things happen, but I don't think they will, the Hurricanes making the playoffs here. So taking that into consideration, winning these games are important. You essentially have, during the toughest stretch of the season for the Hurricanes as far as scheduling and everything like that, you have kind of a mini little 3-game series in here because you play them on the 10th of March, the 18th of March, and the 22nd of March. So all those things considered, might want to get a leg up, win this one tonight, win it in regulation if you can. But this could be a pretty big factor in regards to what the playoff picture looks like if these two teams have any mathematical relevance to each other come that time frame in March. And also, like I said, that's going to be when the Hurricanes hit the most difficult part of their travel schedule. So better to stay on top of it. Big picture. Hurricanes improved their goal differential from +18 to +19 last night. They now have 129 for and 110 against. The Penguins have a slightly negative goal differential. Excuse me, that is backwards right there. It's supposed to be 112 for and 117 against. -5 for them. Goals for per game, Carolina is sitting firmly at 3.29, a little bit down from 3.30. Not upset about that, with 3.14 for the Penguins. Goals against per game. This is where the Penguins have a little bit more of a negative as well, 3.16. To Carolina's 2.84. Power play percentage, Carolina 17.8. The Penguins, despite all their struggles, one of the things that's really kept them in this is their power play. And we're going to be talking about the power play and the goaltending more than anything in this show. 17.8 for the Canes. 29.7 is really good for any hockey team. It's really good for a team that is on the outside of the playoff picture looking in. They have something to build on thanks to that power play. Penalty kill percentage, 80.2 for the Hurricanes, 81.7 for the Penguins. Face-off percentage, Carolina, 49.5 to 50.1 for the Penguins. So the Canes are getting close to getting back above that 50% mark. If you want to thank anybody for being close to that in recent memory, Jesperi Kotkaniemi will now accept your apologies. All right. So these were the lines as of yesterday. Erik Karlsson, as far as I know, from everything I've read, it looks like he is going to play. Connor Clifton took his spot only during practice. These are the lines as of yesterday. Thank you to Pins Inside Scoop. Rickard Rakell, Sidney Crosby, Brian Rust. That's still a good top line. The Penguins have their problems, but it's not for a lack of really capable forwards. It does not appear that Malkin is in this. Anthony Mantha, Tommy Novak, Justin Brazeau, solid top six, but particularly that top line is the most dangerous one. That if there's a single point of emphasis for the Penguins tonight, 5-on-5, it will be that top line, something that actually causes Carolina problems, and particularly causes Anderson problems. McGroarty, Kendall, Koivunen for the third line. Not too worried about that one. Or Dewar, Lizotte, and Achari for the fourth line. When it comes to the bottom three lines, Carolina has a pretty big advantage up and down, even without having Jarvis to kind of bring the top two lines closer. Defense, not even close, even with Slavin out. I have not yet heard if Gostisbehere will play. I imagine he will not. Or I should say Red. I don't want to make it sound like I have sources like that other guy. So Clifton, like as aforementioned, is skating in Karlsson's spot, but the top pair, if Karlsson does play, will more than likely be Wotherspoon and Clifton, Kulak, Letang, Shea, and St. Ivany on the third pair. Again, I'm still taking Carolina's defense 9 times out of 10 here, even with Erik Karlsson back in the lineup. The thing you have to worry about with the Penguins defense, though, particularly Karlsson and Letang, and I've talked about this before, their ability to move the puck in transition and do it either with speed or precision, whatever the situation requires. Maybe they need to take an extra second, take an extra step and cut to the middle and make a heads-up play and make a stretch pass, or they can just make a really, really quick zone exit and join the rush. They're still both capable of those things, particularly those two defensemen, so that's one of the things you got to watch. All that is to say, a high-scoring game, as in most situations, would not favor the Hurricanes. Now, they did recently acquire via trade Yegor Chinakhov from the Columbus Blue Jackets, but he will not be playing tonight. So he's taking the chance to get acclimated, meet with the teammates, meet with the coaches, go over things, give him an opportunity to get here and get settled in, as Pins Inside Scoop says. Jason Mackey, this is actually from the 20th, so we'll see if these are still accurate. Penguins power play 1 was Crosby, Karlsson, Mantha, Rakell, and Rust. And power play 2, Letang, Kendall, Hayes, Novak, and Brazeau. This was their power play last game from moneypuck.com. Karlsson, Mantha, Novak, Kendall, Rust, Crosby, Brazeau, McGroarty, Rakell, Letang. So a little bit different there. So we'll see how that ends up working out. It looks to me like they've still got plenty of options, whether you look at them as a unit or look at them as individual players, to really make that power play be their biggest asset. Now, looking at the speed here, sorry, I forgot the Hurricanes logo on this slide. Carolina has a speed advantage here. The Penguins have 1/100th of a mile per hour faster in max speed. Don't worry about that. What you're looking at more than anything here is burst speed. 52 to 33 for 22 mile per hour burst, 20 to 22, 854 to 637, and 18 to 20, 3,678 to 3,544. Big speed advantage totally across the board here for the Hurricanes. In addition to that, you have a big advantage in shot attempt and shot on goal differential and zone time. So the Hurricanes have a decisive edge in all those metrics when it comes to puck possession, pucks on net, and pucks towards the net. Carolina has all those advantages. Now, then going here and looking at the shots on goal, you'll notice the Penguins do not generate a lot from outside of the perimeter. The majority of their shots, which they actually don't have a ton of them, if you're looking at it in the grand scheme of things, the majority of their shots are coming right there inside the dots. 119, 79, and 106 coming from right there in the high slot area, 275 in the immediate slot area. The only place on the perimeter that they're producing a lot is the traditional glove side of the goalie with 66 over there on the right wing. So if you limit the Penguins on the perimeter, likeliness is they're not going to be able to get to the interior of the ice. And if they can't get to the interior of the ice, they're not going to generate a lot of shots regardless of the quality of them. So that's going to be a big thing for Carolina, is using their speed to, one, prevent zone entries as they normally do, and two, using the man-on-man defense to suppress the Penguins from getting into the interior at all. And maybe you get them frustrated. Maybe you get them to the point where they start taking those lower quality shots from the outside that doesn't really heavily benefit that team. So as far as the way you defend in your own zone, this is one of those nights where Carolina just needs to execute in the way that they normally execute to make that happen. High danger chances, despite that being the Penguins' best asset, it's close. 328 to 327. They do have a few games played less than the Hurricanes. Mid-range 380 to 304, long range 291 to 180. So the Canes have a really, really big edge in terms of generating shots from pretty much every single location. Now, when you look at where everybody's scoring their goals from, Hurricanes have 125 total, Penguins have 116 total. You'll notice there's a lot more blue on the Hurricane side of the map than there is on the Penguin side of the map. And this is about as polar opposite as it gets as far as where teams are scoring from. Hurricanes, a lot of it's coming from the perimeter. A lot of it's from outside the dots. That's not anything irregular at all. However, the Penguins, it's almost like they have to get inside the dots to score. You keep them out of there, you have a really, really good shot to win this game, despite it being on a back-to-back and despite being a little bit worried about the guy who's in net, but we're going to talk about that too. Shooting percentages, same thing, kind of adds up the same way. A lot more blue close to the net for the Penguins, a lot more blue everywhere else for the Hurricanes. This is one of those nights where the Hurricanes can really play to their identity and walk away with this one, despite the fact that they played in overtime last night. So speaking of the Hurricanes playing in overtime, as far as the lines go, I'm expecting no changes there. I'm also expecting that guys who had a little bit lower end on the minutes are going to be the one to play more of this game than last night. So whether that's Jankowski, Hall, and Robinson, if they set the lines back up, or if they left E-Rob with Aho and Svechnikov, we will see. But it definitely looks like that. I would definitely imagine the minutes are going to be distributed pretty evenly. Depending on what the score is, it'll stay that way until, say, the third period. That's what I think that we'll see in regards to all that. So I'm expecting the Stahl line to be really, really busy and to be matched up against the Crosby line every single chance they get. So those guys, they're going to have a ways to go. But as long as Carrier keeps playing the way he's playing, laying the body, all that type of stuff, everything will be fine. So totally winnable game, circumstances aside. Now, looking at the goaltending matchup, this could turn into a goaltending matchup. It could not. It could turn into a low scoring game where the goalies are still not a huge factor. It probably won't. However, I hate to use this term considering I like Freddie Anderson. You've heard of the Battle of Midway. Well, this is kind of the Battle of Mid. So Frederik Andersen has played 15 games, 5 wins, 8 losses, 2 overtime losses, a 3.27 goals against average, and an 8.69 save percentage. Stuart Skinner has played 26 games, 11 wins, 11 losses, 4 overtime losses, a 2.98 goals against average, and a save percentage of 8.85. Difference in games played considered. These guys are actually pretty close. Now, keep in mind, those are relatively characteristic numbers for Stuart Skinner. Frederik Andersen, not so much. He is better than what he's shown. And I think that this will Haggerty, I saw all that. I'll get to that in a second. Thank you for letting me know. I think that Frederik Andersen's resurgence either starts tonight or it doesn't start at all. And the reason why I say that is he's not worried about where he's at in the goaltending depth chart right now. Kochekov's out for the season, so Andersen knows he is number 2. So maybe that took some pressure off of him, took a huge weight off of his shoulders. You know, it kind of looks like maybe, depending, unless something really comes out of left field, that for the time being, Frederik Andersen does not have to worry about being traded unless there's another goalie coming back. So additionally, 2 days from now, we will officially be on Brandon Bussey extension watch because he will be eligible to sign one after January 1st. So looking forward to see what happens there. So if this does turn into a goaltending matchup, it could be a high shot, high scoring goaltending matchup where one guy just has to be a little bit better than the other to make the big difference. So those are distinct possibilities here with this goaltending matchup. Now, when you look at where these guys are giving up their goals from, this is good news for Carolina. Where you see all that blue at for Stuart Skinner is where Carolina tends to score from. That's good news for them. Freddie, again, a little bit uncharacteristic, but we also have to consider he's getting up there in age. So this is one of those nights where the Hurricanes' ability to suppress shots is going to be incredibly important to keep those high danger chances down, keep those medium danger chances down, keep the low danger chances down. Any shot you can prevent will be beneficial tonight, and any shot you can generate at the other end will be beneficial tonight. So, like I said, I could see this game going either way, being a high-scoring, high-shot volume game where the goalies just make a marginal difference as far as who comes away with the W. At all locations, Stuart Skinner has a little bit better of a save percentage than Frederik Andersen, 885 to 869. High danger, Frederik Andersen has a pretty big advantage there, 802 to 761. Medium range, again, Stuart Skinner has a big advantage, 899 to 811. And long range, slight advantage for Freddie, 981 to 975. So high shot volume night for Carolina. Play characteristically, and everything should be fine for them. Shots against, goals against, we're looking primarily at the goals against here. Freddie has better numbers in all three of those regards, but he's also played less games. So if you look at it disproportionately, they're actually relatively even. And that is it for that. So now we will get to the comments here, and then we will get ready for the game. And here we go. Chance has joined us, gracing us with his presence again. Hate to be that guy, but I'm feeling like Sean Walker for Nikita Zadorov. I mean, the team could use more physicality. I mean, you know who I'd really love to have? I know it won't happen because there's no way Ottawa would give him up. I'd like to get Artem Zub to play with Nikishin. I think that would just be a match made in heaven. It won't happen, but that, you know, as far as my dream team goes, Artem Zub would be the guy I would want to put with Nikishin. Matthew P says, let's pray for Freddie. I'm taking my wife to date night, so I'm recording the game to watch later. Guitar says, looks good. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Bobby says, Nikishin lights the lamp tonight. With all the shots he was taking in the last game, I could totally see him doing that. Guitar says, Achari, I remember him with the Bruins. Noah Phillip showing as a scratch tonight. Yeah, I kind of figured he wasn't. If Chinikov wasn't going to play, I kind of figured Noah Phillip wouldn't. Stenkoven is on the Aho line. Same lineup, Nikishin and Walker on the first pair. So, okay, so it looks like if that's the case, they're reverting back to the lines that they're reverting back to the lines they had to start last night, which I'm totally fine with. Still wondering if Waddell is calling about Kokoniemi. I don't know. I mean, the way that he played last night, if he keeps going on that route, there's really no reason to trade him, because if you don't bring another center back when you move him out, then you're kind of defeating the purpose of it. So if he keeps playing like that, I would just hope that the front office concentrates on maybe improving the lineup at wing, and then you can bump Stankoven down or bump Blake down, whatever they decide to do. And I'll get my dream second line of 27, 82, and 37. That's what I'm still hoping for. Daniel, what's up, buddy? The other Daniel. This would be a great time for Freddie to get his mojo back tonight. Maybe knowing that he's locked into a rotation spot will help him relax a little. One can help. That's what I think. That's what I think is going to happen. This is going to be a bellwether game for Freddie. If he plays well tonight, then, you know, I think it's only up from here for him. If he does not play well tonight, and the team in front of him has to help him. I'm going to get to that when I talk about some other stuff in the notes here. The team in front of him has to help him, especially considering it's on a back-to-back. He's going to face a little more work than he would have, say, if he played last night. Daniel says, hoping for a Freddie bounce back game. Florida game showed that he is getting there, in my opinion, just bad series of events. Yeah, the team in front of him really let him down on the third, fourth, and fifth goal in that game. The first two I don't really put on him. I assume that Noah Phillip has met up with the team, and at least by now has not posted a number for him yet either. Yeah, we'll see. All right, now, so to get to the rest of the keys to this game here, as I've already talked about, Penguins are only 2 points out of wild card 2. And they have games in hand on everybody ahead of them, at least one, but some teams they have 2, and Florida they have 3. You can avoid a scheduled loss tonight. Now, this is not the same at all as when Carolina went to Tampa after the disaster that was the game in Florida. Last 2 games, the Canes have only allowed 2 goals in each game, 1 at 5-on-5 and 1 on the power play in each game. So that's a really good sign from them that the team is playing collectively the way that they need to, that in the last 2 games, they've only given up 1 goal at 5-on-5 each and 1 goal on the penalty kill each. So good job there by them. Anderson is key tonight. Anderson, how he performs on a back-to-back like this, especially considering the struggles he's had lately, is going to be really key. But as Daniel Barr pointed out, this is a good time for him to get back into it. He's probably got a lot of weight lifted off his shoulders, knowing he's locked into the goalie rotation. Now, the team in front of him has to put him in a position to win. Do not chase the game. Start this one on time. Carolina has a better chance to win this game by scoring in the first period as opposed to scoring in the third period. So you want to get ahead so that way you can just go into shutdown, lockdown defense mode and let this team do what it does best. Best thing you can do in this game is score early, score as much as you can early, and not chase the game. That's going to be really essential tonight. If the Canes were to win, I'm expecting a score along the lines of 3-2. Even if a goaltending matchup is a factor, I'm still expecting a 3-2 type of game. If this turns into a high-scoring affair, you could potentially see one goalie just make 1 or 2 extra timely saves that ends up being the key and decisive factor in this game. So that is all I have for this one. Yeah, good point there. Stay out of the box. They've got a 29.7% power play. Stay out of the box. Good point. Freddie has to protect the 5-hole. Yeah, he's been getting beat there a whole lot lately. Now, one thing I noticed in the past in regards to Freddie, if he's playing through something, if he's playing through an injury, it seems like he has a hard time sealing the post. I mean, you can say that about most goalies, but him, it seems to be very pronounced when that happens. It seems to be very evident. So those are things to consider with that. But if it's a goaltending matchup, it'll be a marginal difference of which goalie is, like, to be perfectly honest, which goalie sucks less. Maybe Freddie could surprise us. I'm not expecting any big surprise. It is more likely that Frederik Andersen returns to form and is a bigger factor for the Hurricanes to win than Stuart Skinner not having a normal night and being a bigger factor for the Penguins to lose. So totally winnable game. You're not playing, you didn't play a team as good as Florida last night, and you're not playing a team as good as Tampa tonight. So it's completely different than the last time the Hurricanes didn't win on a back-to-back. But, you know, a 3-goal lead tonight, if they were to get one like they did in Tampa, that should be sufficient to win as far as 5-5 is concerned. If the power play becomes a factor for the Penguins, then that totally changes. So Fred's letting 4 goals in minimum. I'm hoping not. I'm not gonna be that way about it. I think they'll get it done tonight, and they'll get it done the right way. But that's gonna be it for me, guys. Thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate it. Damage report will be sometime tomorrow, probably in the morning or early afternoon. Thank you very much for joining me. I will talk to you again soon. And as always, I will be on X making posts during the game.